Did it go yet?
Nope.
Oh, there we are. We are live. Hey, welcome to How to Build Your Own Home every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm excited to have you guys all here. I wanted to start off. My daughter's here. Kenzie's here. She
Yep.
actually created a checklist, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. And she showed me, Dad, I created my first checklist. So I was really excited about that. I'm going to give her a little time here to explain that and why it's important and why checklists are important. They constantly remind you, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I wanted to just bring up something that's kind of something I'm adding to the home site selection checklist. And it's a real big issue. I'm on the planning commission for my county, so I see all kinds of ideas come, subdivisions, home sites, stuff like that come. And I saw this final plat or approval for a subdivision come, and they have what's called a lift station. And I don't know if you know what a lift station is. It means where all the sewer runs to one spot. Then they have an electrical generator and a power pump that grinds everything and sends it uphill so it can go downhill. That's called a lift station, right? Now, if there's no power, what do you think happens to that lift station? I'll let Mackenzie guess. If there's no power, what happens to the lift station?
It can't lift.
It can't lift. It can't grind the stuff. It can't send it off over the hill and down the hill. So that's why they have to have a generator on top of that. But those generators are limited in how long they can last. So if there's like a zombie apocalypse or something, that's something you want to avoid is a sewer system that's tied to a lift station where they have to have constant power to constantly grind and then send that sewer somewhere else. I really love the idea of a gravity fed system, either city or a septic system. Try to avoid pumps, grinder stations, sump pumps as much as you possibly can. I know it's not always the best ideal. Sometimes we have to use those, but I just wanted to give that as a thing that as you're looking for land and you're tying into a sewer system, where does that sewer system go? And when you're driving around, a lot of times you'll see in subdivisions or in some commercial areas, a little room like this. It's all encased in CMU block wall. It may have a little roof on it, but it won't have anything labeled on it. More than likely, that's either a substation for electrical, which is rare for that size of a room, but more than likely, it's a lift station for a sewer system. So all the sewer has to run to that particular location, grinds it up a hill, and then down a hill to where it needs to be at. So I wanted to just give that. I'm always improving these checklists. I'm always trying to help people understand when they buy land or when they're going to build things that you need to be aware of. But I want my daughter to introduce a checklist she said today and why it's important. And then we'll start taking some questions here. Tell us about your checklist, Kenzie.
Well, I'm just shocked I didn't make this sooner. It's actually really important. And I've been doing it just off of memory. And we've gotten to a point where we have too many projects going at once. I can't remember what I've completed and what I haven't completed. But my checklist, it's basically all the selections you need to make in order to keep the flow of construction on time. So, for example, when we pull our building permit, one of the first things we want to order is our windows. It has the longest lead time, and you want to get those installed right after framing. So I've made a checklist pretty much like, okay, these are the first phase right after I pull the permit. This is what I need to get done with my homeowners, selected and ordered. And then after framing, this is my next phase. I need to get cabinets finalized and then plumbing fixtures finalized, appliances finalized. So then we're ready for the rough-in stage, and all the plumbers and electricians know where they need to rough items in. So I finally made a checklist for each of my homeowners. So once I've gotten their selection and approval, I can cross it off and work my way to the next one. Like I said, I used to do it off of memory and just be like, oh, we need to get this done. I've gotten to this stage, but once you get at least 5 projects going at once, it's kind of hard to remember. Oh, I kind of lose track of where I am, but and if you've never built a home too, it's great to know, oh, I do need to think about this because it's going to come up in 2 months. And so just a good way to be prepared. Like I said, I can't believe I haven't made this sooner for how long we've been doing construction, but I'm really excited about it.
She's going to keep tweaking it. And when it's done, we'll just add it to the checklists in the program.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll actually take that video that Kinsey just did, we'll edit it and put it in the course. So Kinsey,
I'll do a better one. You put me on the spot.
No, but these checklists are reminders that you need to do this next or plan for that down the road. And that's how powerful a checklist is. It's a constant, it's better than a journal entry sometimes because they're planned. A checklist is kind of like a fortune telling situation. They tell you what's coming and they warn you, oh no, Noah, there's a flood that's going to come in 100 years. I'm going to warn you. And the checklists help you see that kind of thing in advance. So that's how powerful they are. So what do we have here?
Let me get over here.
We'll go ahead and start answering some questions here.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Okay, this one here is from Loco Coco Coco 2171. I hope I said that right. Mono slab foundation pros and cons. That's a really, really good question. I don't think anyone asked me the pros and cons on that. The pros are that it gets done faster. The cons are that it has a tendency to have a blowout, or the wall bulges and it's not square, and it's also much harder to get level. That's why I don't recommend mono slabs. There's a lot of builders that do them. If you don't have the right forms and you have a lot of stakes to brace it, if you really don't know what you're doing, it's a higher risk doing it wrong than doing it right. That's why, and I like doing it all at once. The other problem is that sewer has a really hard time establishing elevation because you typically may not have those in there at the right time. And when the sewer comes in there, excuse me, when the sewer comes in, they dig up everything, mess everything up, and the forms are destroyed and they have to rebuild the forms. It just seems to me I would rather go with a two-step situation. There's a lot better quality control with the two-step rather than a one-step. I did a job up north and we had a monolithic blowout. That's a mono pour with a stem wall. So imagine that you're going 36, 35 inches deep and it's a stem wall and we're doing a monolithic pour on top of that. So you're having all that pressure, all that weight coming against the form. And what happened, we had a blowout. We lost about 3 yards of concrete all over the place. We literally had to get a truck and back it up and pinch the form with the back tire of a truck just to hopefully stop it from blowing out anymore. It's high risk. And so keep in mind, concrete has a lot of weight to it. And your forms aren't done right, that concrete's going to affect the integrity of the form. And that's why I like a two-step process. Okay. Good question. I'll let Kinsey read that one.
Okay. I am building an ADU with a 4 foot 12 foot porch with overhang. Mason wants to bury wooden posts into the ground, concrete around it. Seems better to place posts on top concrete with metal spacer. Thoughts?
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
The mason doesn't know what he's talking about. If you put that concrete in the ground, more than likely it's going to be below the grade of the concrete. It's going to touch the dirt and then it's going to rot in place over time. That post will not last nearly as long as the concrete. And so he's right. And there's a lot of I'll do a video on this. We have a new system that lifts the post about 1 inch off of the concrete and it sits inside a nice saddle. That way weathering doesn't get to the meat of the wood. And that's what you want to do, is keep that wood away from any kind of water, standing water, running water, any kind of puddling water. You want to keep it away from that. And by putting it in the ground, you're guaranteeing that water is going to collect down there and then be entrapped around that wood and it's going to rot in place. Okay. Just look at an old fence post. Pull it up, and what do you see? It's just rotted down to the core. Even some good treated lumber is going to rot over time. Good question. Do you have any? This is from AJ Martinez, 1026. Do you have any experience with solar power? What's your opinion on it? Is it worth the investment? I'm in
Dallas Fort Worth.
Dallas Fort Worth, 3K
Square feet.
Barndo. That's a really good question. Here's the thing you have to keep in mind. Solar panels can tend to outlast an asphalt and even a tile roof. If that's the case, then you're going to be replacing a roof under the solar, and that's not going to be fun. It's going to be a real pain in the butt. So you want to make sure that if you do solar, you get a roof that lasts longer than the solar panels, if that makes sense. That's typically either some sort of a metal roof. I don't care if it's standing seam, aluminum, or whatever it may be, some sort of a metal roof that's going to help last longer than the solar panels. If you go with a metal roof, you get what's called a cool roof tax credit. That cool roof tax credit ranges between $500 and $800. It varies based upon who's in the administrative office at the time with the federal government. I personally haven't really been interested in solar because I live in an area that has a power that's a cooperative power company, and it's some of the cheapest power in the country. Is around 5 to 6 cents a kilowatt. I mean, that's cheap. I mean, that's super cheap. So to me, it hasn't been a beneficial thing to do it. However, some areas are so rural, you're so far off that you need a secondary dependency source of power. And so solar is a great resource for that. For security systems, for lighting systems, for all kinds of stuff. I was doing bidding a job for a gentleman that was really north of here, out in the middle of nowhere. He was building a campsite for Star Wars aficionados. You got to look it up. Star Wars Camp, Utah, you'll find it. But he had no power. I mean, it would have taken 30 miles of power poles to get power there. So he had his own solar farm. He just set up a whole solar farm, and the contractors that actually worked on the job site were actually able to plug into his solar battery system for saws and whatnot to operate. And now he has a little bed and breakfast type scenario out in the middle of nowhere, completely supported by a solar farm. So I can see its benefit. I can see its use. I just haven't done it. I've done it for some clients. I did it for a client. We did it for a client of ours in Bloomington. Kinsey, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I just gave her the resource. Because I didn't want to charge an extra fee on it, but I gave her all the people to contact, and she's got it on her home. She loves it. She's got a battery pack, a Tesla battery pack, but it can be costly. You have to weigh the pros and cons of it. So, good question. Harold Douglas 4057. Please talk about building on the downside of the street when it falls off several feet. Septic sewer.
How do you do the septic?
The downside of the street when it falls off several feet. You're probably talking about a lot that's on the lowest portion of a subdivision, something like that.
So it's probably lower than the street.
Probably
Is that
lower.
what they're saying?
But is it lower than the sewer system? Most sewer systems, if you buy a lot, any developed lot, just about anywhere, the sewer system, especially out west, where we've got a lot of elevations and we have the ability to drain sewer properly, a lot of sewer is about 12 feet below the crest of the street. So if you were to open up a manhole cover or any kind of cover to look down at the sewer, you could see that it's almost 12 feet down before you actually see the sewer system. That means you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 feet before you even get to the house where you've got a lot of slope and drainage. So that's what you want to look for, to see if there's proper slope for your sewer line. And there's going to be a 3 or 4 inch green or white pipe sticking out of the ground in the subdivision, in the lot, typically where you want to buy. And you can even go down there to look how deep that is. And if that has proper drainage and slope, you're in a good situation that way. I can't guarantee that down the road that sewer will not back up. And I've had this happen. We had this with a student who happened a while ago, where they were on the same situation. The sewer backed up because they were on the lowest totem pole. They got hit first, and so the sewer backed up into their home. Now you want to talk with a plumber to find out if you can get a backflow device on sewer. It's kind of pricey, but you want to find out about that. You don't want stuff backing up into your home. They have backflow devices for sprinkler systems. They've got backflow devices for homes. And a lot of jurisdictions require that, especially if you're putting fertilizer on and you don't want water that's from the culinary system with fertilizer backing up into the culinary system. So find out about that, but then also look at, can you drain gutters and stuff to the street? If you can keep water off of that and it's not going to backflow into there, even better. And look for the storm drains. Remember, I did a video a long time ago, and we actually looked at a lot that it was in the bottom of a street. It was a knuckle, not a cul-de-sac, but a knuckle. That's where you have a kind of a bend like so. Well, there was a storm drain, 2 of them, big ones, right there in front of a lot. And I said, if this wasn't there, I would not have bought the home. But they were thinking in advance of flood. Where's all that water going to go? It's got to go somewhere. And so have they planned for that? So 2 things to look for: storm drain and the elevation level of the sewer system.
Here's another part of his question.
I'm thinking about driveways and water flow. Yeah, driveways, when you have a bottom of the street, look at the curb design. There's what you call a high back curve. Then you have a low profile S curve. And the high back curve can handle maybe 10 inches of water. Some of them in some jurisdictions are higher. They can go up to maybe almost 12 inches. So they can handle a lot of water. But in some curves that are just kind of low profile like that, they don't handle a lot of water flow. So water can come right over it. So look at the curbing situation. If there is a curb, that's going to really help you identify that. And then look, of course, for storm drains. Where are they? How close are they? And do they have a tendency to back up? Good question.
This goes back to the solar.
Maybe I'll let Kenzie read that one.
No, you got it. You got it, Dad.
Okay. The federal 30% solar tax credit expires 12/31/2025. If you're going to get solar, get it now. Otherwise, you lose out on the 30% tax credit. Yeah, and just keep in mind, a tax credit is really a credit against the taxes you would have paid or that you are planning to pay based upon your income. So if let's say you make $38,000 a year, $42,000 a year, and you have 4 kids, that tax credit's not going to help you because you've already got so many deductions already. So talk to a financial advisor and make sure you get some clarity from them. But if you make a higher income, you need some expenses against your income. This becomes a credit against tax that you would pay. It's not a rebate. People sometimes think it's a rebate, but it's not. It's a credit against your taxes that you would pay. So talk to a financial advisor and they can really help you out with that. Okay, good comment. Thank you. Kimberly Willis 8865. 2-step slab versus crawl space. Which do you recommend for 16 by 20 minimalist home? Where are you building? So that would be the determining factor. Remember, tell me where you're building, and it tells me your weather, your conditions, your frost depth, whether or not you do have a frost depth. If you do have a frost depth, you're going to want to do a crawl space because if not, that slab is going to have a 36-inch frost depth right below it, and so you might want to create the crawl space. And the advantage of a crawl space is that you have mechanical access. You have access to move, plumbing move, HVAC systems move, all kinds of stuff like that. And if you feel like you want to remodel, that's a good thing to do.
Virginia, lacrosse.
Virginia, yeah. You're in a cold climate. So I would probably, It depends on that's the next question, is it depends on the elevation of the house. A crawl space can tend to lift the home to such a degree where you have to have steps. Slab on grade, you can get that slab right at grade level, and so you can avoid the obnoxious step situation into a front entry or rear entry.
24-inch.
24-inch crawl space is about as minimum as you would want to go.
It's
You can,
required.
a little higher is better, but 24 inches is fine. That means a guy can crawl underneath like this and work on mechanical from underneath and work in the trusses, all that. But if it's 3-foot crawl space, you can sit up on your butt and work on stuff like that. But Kenzie and I do a lot of slab on grade. We know what we're doing. We know how to have good subs run our electrical and plumbing underground. When we get it done, we get it done right. We even do a lot of recessed showers, and we do a lot of special things with slab on grade. But in your particular area, depending upon other factors, you might want to consider a stem wall, given the fact that you've got frost and you can stick that into the ground.
What would be better?
Look at what a lot of other builders are doing and find out what they're doing. And if a lot of them are doing stem walls, that's something to consider. If you have a high water table, that's going to be a factor. What your soils are like. These are so many different variables, but you would call a lot of different contractors and ask them, what are you doing a stem wall and why? And that's going to be a real help to you. Just check around. You'll eventually figure that out. I could talk forever about it because we did.
You can.
We did a stem wall in this house, and the county made us lift our home 2 feet. Now we suddenly have a basement. It's a little shorter, about 8.5 feet. We have, how many square feet do we have down there? 700 square feet, maybe, all because of that. So these are other factors to think about. Do you want extra storage? And if you do, go ahead and go for a 5-foot stem wall. There's some advantages to that. So I could ask a lot of questions. So you kind of know what I'm talking about, what questions to ask. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Trucking Travels 23. Is OmniBlock cheaper than lumber right now? No, it was about 6s about a year and a half ago when lumber was really, really high. But you then have to add the benefit of an OmniBlock. For example, if I'm in Tornado Valley or Tornado Alley in the Midwest of the United States, I wouldn't build with anything but OmniBlock. I wouldn't do stick built because Tornado will not take that OmniBlock down. If you strap on the roof the right way, it's going to be really a lasting quality to the home, and it's going to be a safe home. I've had a lot of people build in the Midwest that are in that area, and a lot of people in hurricane areas. A lot of people in Florida are starting to grab a hold of OmniBlock, and even Haiti. In fact, the country of Haiti is now adopting that whole model. And even in Saudi Arabia, they couldn't get lumber, but they can get concrete and rebar. So there's a big plant in Saudi Arabia building OmniBlocks for people, and it's a far more efficient use of energy and keeps the interior of a home nice and cool and dry. So again, this is upon environmental factors. Those are the things that really tell me what products and technologies to use. Okay, good question. Venom Bunny 94. That's an interesting name. Hi, Keith. Building in Western Washington, 1,500 square feet. Living space with 2-foot crawl space. Would you recommend a crawl space fan, a dehumidifier, or both? You're in Eastern Washington. Western Washington. So you're going to be in a drier climate than an Eastern. Actually, you're Western. You're closer to the coast. Sorry. Backwards here. So you're going to be closer to humidity. Humidifiers are an energy consuming situation. So anytime I can build without the consumption of more energy, I would do that. You don't need a crawl space fan. You just need a nice uh, um, vent system. So you just have a little vent, and your local building official will help you out with this. How many vents you need per cubic square feet that you have underneath your home, and that helps dry things out, helps stay without getting moist and mildew. It's like if you had a wet rug and you just lay it down in the garage versus lay it down out in the sun, which one's going to dry off faster? Something out in the sun where there's air movement over it and that kind of stuff.
So you would want a fan.
So under a crawl space, I don't recommend fans unless you're high water table where you've got water coming up from the earth in addition to a lot of humidity out in the natural environment. But again, talk with your local building officials. I don't know what your soils and all that are. They may recommend it. I'm not a fan of that kind of a draw on energy. I've installed fans like that, and they have what's called a makeup air system. In a lot of homes, if you're trying to seal up the home, they'll actually recommend it. But most of the time, that's not required. Some of the time, it's recommended, and very rarely, it's kind of a requirement. But again, if a lot of factors come into play when it demands that kind of excess. Good question, though. Have you or anyone you know built a house without a structural engineer using prescriptive engineering? Yes. I had a student, 2 years ago, get online here, and he says, I'm building in Texas, and we don't need a structural engineer, so I'm just going to build it the way I think I need to build it. And I asked him, do you have a geotech report? No. Do you have any structural engineering? No. But all the other builders are here don't use them either. And the risk to that is on you.
That's completely crazy. That's completely crazy in my mind. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine purchasing a lot and like it's almost like your geotech report is almost a recipe, like a recipe book of what you need to do to have the best home, honestly, like most structurally sound home. So for someone to just go out and let's just dig some footings without even checking what's below, that blows my mind. Like I could never do that.
Well, Kinsey and I, we build in what's called the Grand Staircase Monument, or something close to that, where our elevation, we build in elevations that are as low as 1,700 feet. We build as high as 8,000 feet. And we've been looking at lots and building lots that are at 10,400 feet. So you can imagine all the different soils and geology from 1,700 feet above sea level to almost 10,000 feet above sea level. It's drastic. Our soils are so insane. They change from a quarter mile away to just 200 feet away. Kinsey's looking at we're building a home down in the St. George area. And I was looking at the plat where we're building another home. And just 2 doors down, there's
Blue clay.
with expandable within 17 feet. And then another one where there's no blue clay for 34 feet.
And this is in the same subdivision. So that's what's crazy too, is like you could have a completely different scenario than your neighbor who's 3 doors down. And so, yeah.
The reason why I'm so particular on this is because my first building experience ran into a nightmare where we started to dig footings and we got down about 8 inches and there was grass clippings for 3 feet, nothing but grass clippings. And that was a real wake-up call on my first experience. And then I had other nightmares after that. And so ever since then, I go test pit, and we really know what we're dealing with below before we dig. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wouldn't. The thing is who's responsible for anything that goes wrong? Mm-hmm. There's no stopgap. We just had a class on CE class that talked about this. Remember, Kinsey?
Yeah.
And the attorney who was giving the class is our actual attorney. And he said that there's local common practices, then there's the residential code, and there's all these other practices, but none of them are as definitive as structurally engineered plans.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real stopgap. So if you're building with anybody and somebody's framing your home or doing concrete and they don't have structurally engineered plans, it's whatever they say goes, not what you've decided with yourself or with a structural engineer or a geotech engineer. And it's a spitting match, and you don't want to get into a spitting match. So the geotech and the structural engineers are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. My guide, did I say that right? Mleabide?
MLB.
Mleabide. Hope I said that right. Are you planning to have Denny on the webcast soon to talk about? Yeah, we need to do that. I need to get Denny on. I'll try to get in next week if I can. I think that might work out. We'll see. If not, it'll be the week after, maybe the first of the year. Trucking travels. Hi, I'm in Henderson, Nevada. So I was debating using OmniBlock to fight heat in the summer. It's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
There's a manufacturing plant right there off of I-15, right there in the north end of Vegas, and they manufacture them there. And that's one of the benefits of OmniBlock. It's really powerful in Arizona.
Yeah.
A lot of people build with OmniBlock because it's got a double thermal break, if that makes sense. You got concrete, a foam insert, then it's skew wampus this way, which has a slow thermal connectivity, and then it's got concrete, foam insert, then another concrete on the outside. So it has a very slow heat transfer. I mean, super slow. It takes a long time, 8 hours of perpetual heat just to get through the middle of that block wall.
Mm-hmm.
So really good technology for the desert climates.
Well,
Yeah, when we did the one here in St. George, we did that OmniBlock home, Dad, and in the summer we didn't even have the AC units on yet because we were still installing them. But you walk into the house and it was cool, and we're only 10 degrees cooler than Nevada, and like it's nice in the summer.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say about utilities. We put on 1,700 square feet OmniBlock addition, and it didn't even hardly move our utilities. It was really close to what we were already paying.
Yeah, it actually made our utilities more efficient because the old Pioneer home was on the west, and the west sun hitting it was very inefficient. The minute we put the OmniBlock home attached to it, it cooled off that entire west part of the old Pioneer home and made the entire facility a lot more efficient. So that's a good call. Trucking Travels 23. I was quoted $18,000 for a foundation slab on grade from my 900 square foot ADU. Is that reasonable in your opinion? Location, Henderson, Nevada. That's not bad, to be honest with you. Slab on grade. And
it's only 900 square feet.
I know it's not bad because if you think about it, if it was a 1,500 square foot home or just a couple hundred square feet below that, so 900 square foot ADU is a big ADU. That's a big ADU. That's like 9 of these rooms here that I'm in right now. It's just almost a 10 by 10 room. That's not a bad price, and the fact that you can get a bid in Nevada, that's what's most impressive. Yeah, a lot of owner builders are having a real hard time getting bids in the Vegas area.
$20 a square foot.
Yeah, that's not bad for slab because we're talking rebar, the footings, and the whole 9 yards. So straight up flat work is probably around $9 to $11 a square foot in your particular area. So this is just above the typical flat work, but you have footings and spot footings and everything else related to it. So that's not bad. Okay, Benny Piet, I said that wrong, 9986. I hear some builders talking about building airtight. Matt Reisinger, is there ever a time a house needs to breathe? You're talking to the choir here. I don't believe in building an airtight home. Why? Because it requires energy to maintain efficiency. It's called makeup air, which is what I was just talking about earlier. The more tight you make that home, it's kind of like, let's say, for example, that I'm in a big coat and I've got it zipped up and I'm chopping wood in the winter and I've got a hat on. Within about 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to build up so much moisture inside my coat, I'm going to start to overheat. I need to unzip that thing and breathe. And I may be working up such a sweat where I take it off or I won't even need the coat at all. Well, if you build a home so tight, okay, and you take a shower or you're cooking spaghetti and you're building up more heat inside the home, that moisture that you're putting into the air has to go somewhere. All right. And if you don't have the ability to open a window or do this to let the evaporation take place so you can cool off again, that's not the very best thing for a home. And this is why I'm a breathable home. I believe in building efficiency. I want to caulk everything. I want to seal everything, but I don't need to have so many layers to the point where I can't allow for cold condensing surfaces to occur. And what's a cold condensing surface? It's where moisture comes into contact with a cold surface, and then it starts to condense, and then you start to have damage to the home because of that. The more breathability you have in a home, the more efficient you make that home. That's just my take on it.
And it doesn't mean you're going to have bugs or anything like that. This home was built so we had a fire and no smoke got in, no ash, nothing got in, but it's still breathable. So you're not going to have bugs and smoke or all that kind of stuff. So it still can be like somewhat tight, right?
Yeah.
But it breathes. So
like our neighbors had to have fumigation because of the smoke was so bad. But we have 2 inches of mineral wool on just before you get to the batten board. And that is fireproof and mold proof. So if even water got into it, it's going to breathe. That's what I'm talking about. The more you allow for that to happen, the longer lasting your home is going to be. And I get all that from pioneers who built their homes. And I learned more from pioneer technology than I have with modern technology on how to build homes. Let your home breathe. It doesn't mean it's going to be cold or you're going to lose energy. It just means that you're not going to have moisture build up anywhere where it's going to cause damage.
Okay.
See, Hannah Banana. Hello, Hannah Banana, 1998. Hey, Mackenzie, thoughts on the 50-year mortgage? I'll let my wife comment on that one.
Well, first, Mackenzie, do you have an opinion? Have you looked into it?
I actually I don't even know. I think I just saw that yesterday too, and I don't know what I think. I just hate mortgages. I just want to get to a point where I build every 2 years and maybe in 10 years I don't have a mortgage. That's my whole goal. But I don't know. I think you're the better person to answer that, Mom.
Yeah. So I have. Oh no. Not now. Okay, sorry, I hit a button. 50-year mortgages. So it's not approved yet, but every time the mortgages go up in years, the interest rate's going to go up too. So if you do a 15-year mortgage, you're going to get a lower interest rate, say 5% right now. And then if you're doing a 30-year mortgage, you could get a 5.75 interest rate. And if you're going to get a 50-year mortgage, you're going to have a higher interest rate, 7%, let's just say. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be more because the lenders are going to be tying up their money for longer. And some are saying that it might be 50-year amortized, but it will come due in 20 years. So, and they're also looking at maybe a 40-year mortgage and stuff like that. So nothing's in writing yet. And when I saw a lender do the numbers, it's not that much savings, but maybe it's just enough. Like it was $200 less.
Mm-hmm.
So I always go, if you can make the payment on a smaller, you're going to pay less interest, because in a 30-year mortgage, you're like doubling if you just paid for the full 30 years. Say you had a $300,000 I don't know. I don't have it off. It's like 900,000 or something. But if it's a 50-year mortgage, it's like $1.8 million if you waited the whole 50 years.
Question though, if you, because I'm just like, I haven't even looked into this. I just found out about it. But if you had a 50-year mortgage, but you did a higher payment, would you technically pay it off faster because more of it would be going towards principal rather than a 30-year mortgage?
It all depends on how it's going to be written, because they always want to pay more interest at the beginning of the loan.
Yeah. Because I think that would be the only benefit, is just being able to have a 50-year mortgage, but paying more, so it's more of it's going to principal rather than interest. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out how to pay my house not in 15 years and not 30 right now.
Yeah, I just have to look at it from the bank's point of view. If it's going to take longer for them to get paid back, then they're going to charge more interest.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's going to get paid back quick, then they'll lower the interest rate. It's, that's just the way they're thinking. So I would not play into the banker's hands. Play into your own hands if you can.
Yeah, and then what it's going to be, the difference is if somebody not able to qualify, and that $200 makes it so they can qualify for a home, because in some areas rent is more expensive than buying a home, so they're trying to get people into homes so they have their own home and not run the risk of, am I going to get kicked out? Am I, just giving the opportunity for people to own a home.
Yeah, I think it is very situational. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good question.
Good topic.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking. Sorry.
Randy Camden 6926. Is there still a Discord channel for those who purchased the self-built course? Yes, there is.
Yes.
Heard you mentioned it.
Yeah, I apologize. I haven't looked for the last, I think, 8 days. So I'll do that tonight. Okay. I'll send out the link. And sometimes it goes to spam and trash. It's coming from my personal work email and Utah Sun Country, but I do say how to build your own home, Discord link or welcome, something like that in there. So just check and I'll send them out tonight. Okay.
Kelly Jones. I had a student named Kelly Jones. It's not you. Is that you, Kelly? She was a student of mine when I used to teach high school. On an omniblock house, if you're doing basement, do you have a normal poured basement, or could omniblock be used for the basement? Yes and no. It depends upon the static pressure of the soil on the outside, and you have to have some additional engineering of the omniblock, but I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to have a lot of cold pour joints where that grout and water could seep through. And so I would just get a full basement, typical standard concrete, fully encased, and you should be much better off. You can do it, but it's a lot of a headache, and it's easier just to have the concrete poured and move forward that way. And then you can do the omniblock on top of that. Okay. Kimberly Willis 8865. Seal engineer plan not required, but PSI 2000 was required. My daddy had 3000 PSI.
Do you remember she was up here talking about? I'm trying to remember.
Way up there.
Yeah. Sorry. I can't remember, Kimberly. Sorry. The crawl space, 24-inch crawl space.
Oh.
And she goes, I want to get my daddy in the home as soon as possible. Any recommendations on this soil crush and rock run?
Okay.
And run.
Yeah, when you do a stem wall, the one thing you just want to watch out for is raking it smooth and putting some pea gravel on before they start to frame, because you can never get to it after that. Once that house is framed on top of the stem wall, you don't want to go back in the crawl space ever again. So I've seen people build homes where they have boulders and garbage and all kinds of stuff, and it's not level. And you try to get underneath that crawl space to make something happen. Level it off, get it a load of pea gravel, and rake it nice and smooth, and you'll be glad you did it. and it's going to be easier in case you want to do a fully encased conditioned crawl space later on. But take care of that before all that framing starts place. Okay. Holden MCG would love to have an episode feature OmniBlock difference between standard CMU building finishing versus OmniBlock, running electrical, cosmetic finish options, etc. Yeah, we need to do that. I did do a video on OmniBlock, and I interviewed the president of OmniBlock, Denny. We actually did a site visit on a home, believe it or not, and it was a very informative video. I don't even know if I can find it here at all, but I can show you a picture of it that we actually did. Oh, maybe
4 years ago,
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my courses page, you go to the courses page at how to build your own home, and that's the home the gentleman built out of OmniBlock. Okay, pretty insane with a lot of cantilevered roof and all that kind of stuff. Denny actually came to that job site, and we went to the backyard where he had a little casita out of OmniBlock, and we did a whole video on it. So if you look for it, you'll find it. I know I have several hundred videos, but it's not that hard to scroll through and see them.
Dad, we'll do it together, and I'll talk about the finish options.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, Trucking Travels 23. I'm required to have MEPs, but the craftsman can't do that. How do I obtain those plans without to submit for the building permit? Well, talk with your building department and ask them, can I have the mechanical draft it with PDF edit? Can I have the plumber draft it with PDF edit? And the electrical should be done with the architectural. You want to avoid an MEP. That's kind of a mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineer. I'm sorry, but they don't know what they really need to know. They have no experience in the field. They're only good for commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're asking for an MEP engineer for residential, they
That's
really don't know what
crazy.
you're talking about. It's an absolute waste of money. So talk with the building departments and ask them. The architectural should automatically have the electrical done, and ask if your mechanical and plumber can actually draft their plans. Don't say without CAD, just PDF edit, and they can put it on there. Most building departments allow for a gas map. A gas map is just a simple hand-drawn description as to where the gas lines are going. They upload it, and they're good with that.
Same with your HVAC though too, because we have to have that layout for like 7-way inspections.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
and that's just handwritten.
You can be a licensed mechanical in HVAC and a licensed subcontractor in plumbing, and you should be able to design that system for your client. And if they don't accept that, then they're being really particular, and that's not necessary. Because I had a client bought some MEP plans, and it was like $32,000. It was nuts. And there's some jurisdictions that just don't have any care in the world about the real cost of things. So try to push back on that MEP. You don't need that person.
That's crazy, yeah.
And prime time Peyton. Okay, can you talk a little more specifically on having underground utility subs working with slab pour subs? Seems like a whole lot going on there.
Explain the process, Dad. Maybe step by step what you.
If you do it in a 2-pour and it's not a mono slab like we talked about earlier, they're going to pour their footings first, okay, and they're going to have strings or batter boards up. Plumber comes in, digs under the footing, and runs his drain lines and other water lines to wherever they're going to go. And it's all going to be a PEX and a sleeve for the water lines. And if you don't do it that way, you're running the risk of something happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you run all your electrical as well. But that can be run after they get the plumbing in. Once the plumbing's in, you get a test, headwater pressure test, and water's not leaking anywhere. You pass the inspection. Then the plumber should backfill against his own pipes. don't let the excavator backfill against the plumber pipes.
Mhm.
Because if something breaks and the excavator did it, he's not going to, I didn't do it. So let the plumber backfill against his own pipes. And then the concrete guy comes in and preps it with grid and rebar and all that and gets it ready for a pour. So it's really just some steps. And if you go to the build flow schedule in the how to build your own home checklist, it's in the download section. Go to the build flow document, download it, and it will say slab on grade, stem wall, walkout basement, omni block. It will have all these different phases. Look for the steps that follow in the slab on grade, and it's all there. Even more than I just explained now, a lot more. Okay.
Mhm.
Brady Morgan, average time homeowners stay in the same home nowadays is 8 to 9 years. The amount of principal pay down in the first 10 or year on a 50-year mortgage is minimal. You shortchange yourself on the next home.
Yep, exactly.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Kim Winter, 507. We changed our hot water plan on our build over from electrical to propane tankless. Very good. Thank you for the input on this. Pona City, Oklahoma. You're going to love that. You're going to love it a lot. And it's going to last a lot longer than electric system.
Yeah.
So and when you have the long shower, you'll even in the cold winters in Oklahoma, you'll love it.
All right. You know this guy.
Nathan Hampton, I know this guy. 6184. I think the biggest concern is risky investment loans. I saw a cash out of appraised value on some no-income products. So it's kind of scary. This guy knows his stuff. We did a video on lending.
Oh yeah, here's from Nathan.
And so you want to make sure if you pay extra to principal, you make a separate payment directly to the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're just going to apply it to the interest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you actually send the check in, and you say, please apply to principal.
Mm-hmm.
Good one, Nathan. Awesome dude. Nathan Hampton Home Loans.
He's a good lender.
He's a good lender.
Mm-hmm.
My wife uses him. Okay. Brady Morgan. I had another student named Brady Morgan. All these weird names are coming back.
Well,
Is the
That's
Discord
weird.
Brady comes every week.
okay? Is the Discord only available to those on the paid course? Yes. Yeah. Would you suggest the same with a fast wall build? No, I'm a different Kelly Jones. Not you. Since fast build. I like fast wall. I really do. It's a dry stack system. You don't have any mortar. You don't need to have a mason, although it comes in handy when you do the bond beam over windows, doors, stuff like that. But I did price it out. It's a little bit pricey, but it's a bigger block. And the insulation insert is mineral wool, not polyiso foam. So if a fire came through, that building's not going anywhere. Even if it got super hot, it wouldn't melt the insulation like it would melt a polyiso foam. And if that foam gets so hot and melts, then your whole insulation is toast inside the building. So I have not been able to build a fast wall home. I'm really interested in doing one. I just haven't been able to pull the trigger financially because it can be a little bit pricey. I'm looking into it. I think that there could be a really great product down the road for a lot of people, but it's still new. It's not as pervasive as OmniBlock. OmniBlock had the ability to tap into mason yards and concrete yards where they could actually send the form off. They manufacture the form and sell them in their lot, and then they can have them stored in their lot forever, and they never get wasted or weathered or anything like that. So Fastwall has that same challenge ahead of itself. It needs to be able to permeate the market to drop that price down. And right now, it's only in Oregon. It's only being manufactured in one state. of OmniBlocks now across the country and even in many other parts of the world. So once the technology really gets penetrated, it really drops the price. Takes a while though. Trucking travels. How do I obtain MPs since my draftsman doesn't do it only electrical? Alongside that question, how do I obtain trenching plans? These are required to submit my building permit. Okay. Ask your mechanical HVAC contractor and ask your plumbing contractor, okay? And you do one after another. Can you do a PDF edit? Or what you can do is, can you just draw on this site plan where your trunk line is going to be, where your gas line is going to be, approximately where it's going to be, and then you take your PDF edit and you do edit mode and you edit it right on the actual site plan, all right? And if they are asking for a MEP engineer, you say, this is designed by a licensed HVAC contractor. You can have them sign it off, and a licensed plumber. If they're asking for an MEP engineer to supersede what the mechanical and the plumbers are going to do, that's not right. All right. So push back on that. Any city that's asking for that's crazy. But of course, the electrical you'll have done with the drafts person. So push back on that. That's kind of crazy. Pronto builders. Keith, you have your students lay out the foundation themselves? No. All right. What we try to focus on is you replacing a general contractor. Okay. That's the biggest cost savings there is. There's a lot of other channels teaching you how to DIY this, but they will not save near as much as being a student who's an owner builder and managing your own build. That's where the big savings is. And so you can learn, you can do it, but if you're not plumb and square, you can have some problems. Have your concrete person lay out your foundation, and you can help with the excavator, and you can just go 5 feet beyond the home, spray it in white. That's typically the color that you use for the excavator. They'll come out and do what they need to do and do the footings and all that. But get them talking. Get your concrete crew and get your excavation person there at the same time and get them to talk and get them to work out the layout for you. Okay. Holden MCG. Don't forget to thumbs up this live stream to help our great content creators. Yes, that would be awesome. We would love that. Why change to propane? Because let's put it this way. A tankless water heater is endless hot water. You can't get that with an electric system, with an electric tank. You just can't do it. And if you're in a cold climate, I'm in a cold climate. Sometimes I get real cold. My wife will vouch for that. I'll get really cold. I'll go in the shower just to get cleaned up for the day, but I'll get nice and warm. And I just love it. And
you keep the house at like 78 degrees.
Yeah. But more importantly, the systems last longer. With an electric system, there's a heating element at the bottom of the tank, and that sucker has to get hot, and you have to constantly keep the whole system hot for on-demand water. With tankless, you don't have that. You flip the switch and it's going to heat it up instantaneously like that. So you're not drawing energy all the time, and those heating elements get corroded in hard water. It's really, really nasty. By the time we have a tankless water heater on our oldest home that's almost 20 years old, we haven't replaced that at all. If we had a tanked system, we would have replaced that 3 to 4 times by now. And so I could go on. You see what I'm getting at. If you take care of your system with soft water, filter it and clean it every once in a while, it will last a long time. On-demand water is the only way to go. And propane, here's the neat thing. Let's say, for example, that let's say there's a power outage. Some propane systems can operate and fire just with the power of propane alone, no electricity. So you could have 450 gallons of propane out there heating up your home for stoves and water and stuff like that without any need for electricity. That's kind of a plus. It's a secondary power source is basically what it is. If you're on one primary power source, like electric for everything, That's kind of risky. I like to have a secondary power source. It's really, really, really nice. We can actually turn our fireplace on, which is on the other side of that wall, and I can turn the heat off in the home, and I can turn that on, and it takes a while, but it will warm up the whole main level here. So if the power was off and it was like below zero up here, and it can be very, very cold up here, we could survive. And that's what the plus is of that additional propane. Propane more money than natural gas, I admit, but it's a nice secondary source. I wouldn't use it for heating the home. I would just use it for the tankless water heater and the stove and maybe the fireplace. That's it. Good question.
This one's for Kins.
This one's for Kins. I'll let her read it.
I saw a huge price difference for kitchen cabinet from $5K to $50K. Does it really worth or only the design / brand effect? What should really look at for the new kitchen cabinet, wood type, hinge, etc.? That's a good question. It's hard because I just stick with my one cabinet builder and I don't work with very many, but like it's really standard now. Everyone's doing like the soft close and
you get the cheap kind that will swell up if there's a
yeah,
flood.
that's true.
And it's cheap. And then you get the mid range, and then you can have the high end.
There are a lot of ranges because you can change your cabinet style, like your inset cabinets or yeah.
This depends. How far you want to go with your luxury.
Yeah. Yeah,
because you can get some pretty.
You can spend a lot of money on cabinets. Like I could. That's the ticket item where like I'm saving everywhere else so I can have the nicest cabinet. Yes, I just.
Yeah, it's just your style, and most people don't even know. With cabinets, they can stick out. There's 3 different levels. They can be inside, so it's all flat. And most people don't even recognize that until you get into the nitty-gritty and you build a home yourself. Then you know, oh, look, they spent a lot of money on their cabinets.
Yeah, and that's true. So if you want to save money, I do the mid-range and just stick with that. It's going to have a better product and it will last you longer and it'll be close to your higher range cabinets. It just won't have all the bells and whistles of today's trends. But I wouldn't go to the cheap side because that's just where it's just builder grade and it's just already kind of starting to fall apart because that's the house that I'm in right now. I didn't build it, but
typically if you have the lower end, it's less than 5 years.
Yeah.
If they're taking a fascia on a board for a drawer and they're just gluing it on, that's below builder grade.
Yeah.
Stay away from
I've seen some bad cabinets, but that mid-range, that's the best. That's what we kind of like start with and then upgrade from there. But yeah.
Okay, we'll take one more question and we'll have to get going here real quickly. Kelly Jones, my student. How about a basement on fast wall build? Would you suggest a normal basement and then fast wall for the set? Yes, because I don't think fast wall would handle the compression against it and the moisture against it. So keep in mind that fast wall is thicker. It's a bigger block wall, so you need to make sure that the basement can handle the width of the fast wall. So double check on that. Anyway, we're going to end it right there. We're beyond next week from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, but we will not be here the week after.
Thanksgiving.
That's Thanksgiving. So you guys have a good Thanksgiving break then. Like, subscribe, go to howtobuildyourownhome.com. Check out the First Steps course. It's the best primer course out there for owner builders. And the last module in that course is a coupon code for the self-managed course. So please make sure you take the coupon code. I see too many students taking the whole course. They rave about it, and they buy the next course, but they don't get that coupon code. So make sure you get the coupon code. And we'll see you guys next Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. See you guys then. Bye-bye.